Ulakut, Taddi Ovunga. Good day, my name is Todd Russell. I am President of the NunatuKavut Community Council, and I'm joined here today by some of my governing council colleagues. To my fellow Inuit, we are proud to represent you, a strong and resilient people who know adversity, a people who know struggle, but a people who have persevered. And we have done so by relying on the strength of our culture, by supporting one another, by caring for one another, and doing the hard work that was necessary. Today, I address a very serious matter that has deeply affected our community, our people. The recent surge in bullying and lateral violence relating to our identity, to who we are, and where we come from. There is no doubt that this increased lateral violence in its many forms has both been ignited and perpetuated by actions and words coming from Indigenous leaders within the Inuit Tapiriit Kanatami, the NunatuKavut government, and the Innu Nation. Each of these Indigenous organizations have seemingly chosen to spend considerable time and effort on a misinformation and bullying campaign that seeks to undermine our very existence, one that seeks to deny and erase Inuit culture and history. These campaigns are built on lies and falsehoods. It is deeply offensive to our people and should be offensive to all Inuit and all people. To falsely allege that we are trying to take something away from another Indigenous group and cause harm is reprehensible. Suggesting that NunatuKavut Inuit are somehow a threat or a risk to their members' lands or culture, their programs or their services is baseless and inflammatory. These false allegations are indeed inflaming behaviors and conduct, creating divisions within our families and within our communities. We NunatuKavut Inuit have never responded to these campaigns with similar conduct. We have never acted this way, and we have never been taught to act in this way. And NunatuKavut Community Council does not govern in this way. Harvesting on our lands, fishing in our own waters, gathering berries, providing for family and kin will never and has never caused harm to any other Indigenous people. Providing medical help and housing and other types of assistance to our young and to our elders has never and will never cause harm to any others. Just recently, one of our youth, an 11-year-old girl, experienced physical, verbal, and emotional violence. For what? For what? Wearing a hat that had our NunatuKavut logo on it? Really, this is heart-wrenching. And there's a video which will be made public following this press conference, this statement that shows the level of violence that some of our youth are experiencing. We are also hearing many other stories of violence, of how it manifests itself into discrimination and prejudice at academic institutions and within workplaces. And of course, cyberbullying has increased on Facebook and other social media platforms. And unfortunately, much of it is coming from youth. And we have to ask, where are the youth learning these behaviors? Youth and NCC are also experiencing violence on our own social media accounts. Staff have been personally targeted and harassed. Some of these behaviors have been targeted at members who are survivors of residential schools, causing renewed trauma. These types of behaviors have been traumatizing, and we know the impacts that it is having on our mental health and well-being. We know that words and actions can cross the line into criminal behavior, and we encourage you to act and report on any type of behavior to your local authorities that crosses this line. We cannot, and this type of behavior will not be tolerated. Violence in all forms should be called out and condemned by all people in all places. Today, we hold out and we call out Mr. Obed, Mr. Lamp, and Mr. Pokeway personally to be held accountable for their words and their actions. We call upon them to stop their campaigns of lateral violence, of misinformation, and residential school denialism. We call upon these elected leaders to cease making defamatory statements about our people. We must come together as Indigenous peoples to address our common challenges, not sow division and discord. Our past has shown that we have and can work together to accomplish progress that is meaningful for all of our peoples. Today, we also hold out and we hold the Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, and the Government of Canada accountable for the increase in lateral violence and bullying that our people are experiencing. Indeed, we also know and we also observe that there is great division and hostility amongst many Indigenous peoples across Canada. I can firmly say and assertively say that in my 25 years involved in Indigenous leadership and as a member of Parliament for Labrador for 6 years, that I have never seen as much division and turmoil and discord as I see today across Canada in our Indigenous communities. And it's happening right here at home. The federal government's years of inaction, specifically on our rights recognition process, and the lack of commitment on advancing the priorities of NunatuKavut Inuit have emboldened the actions of those who are inflicting harm with their campaigns. Prime Minister Trudeau, the time is now to live up to your commitments to advance our Inuit rights, and in so doing, advancing the rights of all Inuit. Although long overdue, we must also work harder and in a much more focused way to address critical issues like the healthcare inequities that many of our communities face, which includes the lack of access to culturally appropriate mental health services. We are seeing growing concern from our people about the inability to access federal funding for health supports. Despite our calls for help and proposal submissions, our people continue to be able or are unable to access and afford the most basic care. The rise in lateral violence is now exasperating already unmet need. We call upon the federal government to act now. It is time to end their political games and to stop creating winners and losers at their own discretion. Our people have waited long enough for justice and fairness, for inclusion and respect. The time is always right to do the right thing. As President and as a governing council, we must ensure that our people, NunatuKavut Inuit, are supported and have what they need. We have always known who we are, where we come from, who we come from, and why we matter. We are Inuit. We come from Inuit, and we are still living on the lands and waters of our ancestors. These are the facts of history. Inuit have lived all along what is now the coast of Labrador, long before the arrival of Europeans. That the places that our ancestors lived in, that we continue to live in, form part of Inuit Nunangat, the homeland of the Inuit. It is a fact that our people defended our lands and waters and entered into the British Inuit Treaty of 1765. And it is also a fact that we are descended from these same Inuit. That these are our grandmothers and our grandfathers, our aunts and our uncles, our cousins, our kin. It is a fact that we travel the same travel routes of those who came before us, that we harvest on the same lands, that we fish in the same waters, that we trap on the same trap lines. It is a fact that we have won in the courts and have many relationships and agreements with both the provincial and federal government and other bodies. And it is true that NCC remains undeterred. We continue to focus on the work that we need to do that ensures that our people are safe, healthy, and well. We recently approved our annual budget. It is focused on strengthening our Inuit governance, continuing with vital programming like our medical transportation program and our home repair. We have developed and implemented our Constitution and our own laws, and this work continues. We are advancing the revitalization of our culture and language. We have just received federal funds of $1.5 million to advance this work. We are ensuring that our lands, waters and ice and our people are protected from the ravages of climate change. We are working to ensure affordable housing for our families and affordable heating for our homes. We are working to increase access to healthy, affordable and sustainable food, such as our greenhouse initiative and our community freezer program. We are building on our work around fisheries management, and we will continue to build on this work with our food fishery again this year, just as we have done now for decades and will do for decades to come. We work with many partners and allies to help ensure the safety of those who take to the water and fish to make a living. These types of efforts help all people in the territory and across Labrador. NCC is also having serious conversations about energy sovereignty and security with both the federal and provincial governments. And we are working to ensure that NunatuKavut Inuit and NCC are fully consulted and included when resource development is considered in our territory. This includes any future development on the Churchill River, the Grand River, or as some people said in the days of old, the Esquimalt River. This is the land of our people, and this is the law of the land. Those who attended our annual General Assembly in February also gave clear direction to NCC on this matter, as well as clear mandates around securing NunatuKavut Inuit rights and recognition in the Mealy Mountains National Park and at academic institutions. This important work that makes sure we always have access to our traditional places is continuing and will continue. We will also build up our families and unify our communities. That is who we are as a rights-bearing people and as an Inuit governing body. So I say to our people who are watching this today, I am proud to lead the resurgence of the Southern Inuit, of the Inuit of NunatuKavut, of the resurgence in pride and confidence that I see in the Inuit of NunatuKavut each and every day, in who we are and where we come from. Over the coming days and weeks, NCC will be releasing more information that showcases our history and our culture. We will share the beautiful stories of our ancient land, of our beautiful families, and our communities. As a priority, our Health and Community Services Department will be putting together an anti-violence committee to develop an anti-violence strategy for NunatuKavut, and it will clearly be informed by the voices of our youth. I want to ensure the people of NunatuKavut, our families and communities, that we are there for you. We are working tirelessly to protect your rights, our way of life, and our well-being. We will continue to move forward to strengthen our relationships and our governance, and we will do all of this respecting all people, whether they live in or outside NunatuKavut. To our people, I end by saying, I and we are immensely proud of you, your family, and your communities. I see you demonstrating so much respect and pride in your culture and our rich heritage. As we say, we have always been here. This is our home. NunatuKavut.